Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. Hey, Mike and Arlen. Oops, our Philippine journey. Hey, thank you for coming by, stopping by. Look, this is not clickbait. I got scammed. Now, I personally have been scammed a few times. Small things, peanuts, stuff that you just don't even think about and that are so insignificant you didn't even think twice about it. No big deal. I paid too much for shrimp at the market one day. I overpaid for a fake whatever. I've done that a couple times. But that's not what this is about. This is about something that I've recently seen and then something that we see all the time. You see YouTube videos on people getting scammed in the Philippines. I got scammed in the Philippines. Some of them are quite literally heartbreaking. I watched one recently where a gentleman got scammed in a devastating manner. I'm not going to go into it because, again, this is not about this guy that got scammed, although it was heartbreaking. What this is about is I got scammed every time you turn around. The Philippines doesn't hold the monopoly on people getting scammed. It happens in every country, and it happens across every demographic. There are plenty of Filipinos who actually scam Filipinos. Filipinos get scammed, I would venture to say, way more often than, say, Americans. There's millions of Filipinos and there's not millions of Americans here. Maybe the percentages are different or weighted, but the point is they get scammed all the time. But you know something? Americans get scammed all the time. Let's think about that for a second. Americans get scammed all the time, and by waiting, we get scammed according to the numbers for more dollars per capita in the U.S. than all the scams reported in the Philippines. And of course, those are all the scams reported in the U.S. And to give you an idea, consumers lost 5.8 billion to fraud in 2020. I don't have a recent 2022 number, but the article is dated in 2022. So that may be the latest information. And it says consumers reported losing more than 5.8 billion US dollars to fraud in 2021. All right? 2.8 million people filed fraud complaints. That's a huge number. The Philippines does not hold a monopoly on scamming people by any way, shape, or means. Okay? Yet you see it because you're looking for news about the Philippines and people are reporting on YouTube these news. And while I don't feel this is something you see as much of in the US, you are looking for news on the Philippines. That's why you're here. That's why you found this channel. That's why you found other channels, because you're looking for that news. on the Philippines. So you see these. Well, you can see we don't have a monopoly on getting scammed in the US, and the Filipinos do not have a monopoly on getting scammed in the Philippines. And the same goes across every country. I just don't know if you're going to see these types of situations publicized as much as you see in the Philippines. But I have found common threads. And those common threads are really common sense. Now, don't get me wrong. I really and truly feel terrible for people that get scammed. But let's take a look at it for a minute. Isn't paying 18.5% interest on credit card debt a scam? And what about all the people in the U.S. that were given predatory home loans that were an absolute scam? They didn't get made whole. And the credit card company is not going to make you whole. Those are legal scams. Okay? Here, it's always being mostly publicized of a girl or a girlfriend or even a wife that scams a husband. And almost always, with very few exceptions, there are so many red flags. So I urge you to not just jump into the role of thinking you can legally get back what's yours if something goes wrong. Because you might could, but it'll cost you here far more. Far more. All right? Now, I'm going to tell you just some basic things that you need to fully understand. If you buy property, if you buy a condo, your name needs to be on that condo. Not just your wife's. And as a foreigner, your name can go on that condo. And you can have joint ownership. If you buy land, your name, if you're married, can go on that title. Don't buy land from a girlfriend or for a girlfriend unless you're ready to throw that away. That's just the basics. I mean, that is just the absolute basics. Don't do anything that you don't know what you're doing. And even when you don't know what you're doing, or you do know what you're doing, you get a lawyer, a Philippine lawyer. This is common sense, absolute common sense. If you're married to a Filipino and her parents want to sell you some land, this is not an arm's length transaction. Okay? It's just not. You go to a lawyer. You find out, has the land been surveyed? Is it in their name? Is there anything holding on that title? Is there anything that stops you and your wife from owning that clear and clean? And then your lawyer can put together an agreement that says in the event that the marriage gets dissolved, or in the event there's a mutual split within that, the parties agree to dispose of that in a certain way that will protect your rights. And that is legal here. And you can do that. But you can avoid that completely by starting it the right way. You don't loan money without a legal agreement. You don't buy things without a legal agreement. All right? You need to know what you're doing Nothing should be done in an arm's length transaction. Nobody wants to lose half of their net worth just screwing around. Just doesn't matter. It's I have a lot of empathy for these people that get screwed. I have a lot of empathy for these guys that get scammed. But at the same time, I have to say, we need to educate everybody else and show them that there is a way to protect yourself to a certain extent. All right? And you guys have got to do this. You know, one of the things that I have noticed, one of the things that I don't understand, but I have noticed, is that there are younger men coming to the Philippines. As the years go on, the age of men coming to the Philippines, retiring, or moving and making a living here, either through some sort of job issue or through digital nomad or whatever, all right, has increased. That means the number of years that you have given up in a first world country of income are being diminished. It also means that the number of years that you have to make things work here has increased. With that being said, it's important that you safeguard yourself. Always. Always. I know, and I love my wife to death, and we don't have any issues, and I wouldn't trade her for anything else in the world. And, you know, I could say all kinds of great stuff about her. Okay, but then all of these guys that got scammed, they kind of said that stuff about their girlfriend or wife or long distance relationship or whatever. Okay? I am protected. When we bought our land, okay, we didn't buy it from her father. We didn't buy it from her family. We bought land and we researched that land and we got legal paperwork on that land and we did everything the right way. And that land is in her name and my name. Okay? When we do anything, my wife knows we've got to do it the right way. There are no halfway situations. We had friends of the family that wanted to sell us land, but it wasn't titled. But that's okay. That's the way they do things in the province. Well, that may be the way they do things in the province, but trust me, that's not the only way they do it in the province. You may pay more for titled land. Okay? And they may tell you we have a barangay title or we have a deed of sale or we have this. You know what? Take that to a lawyer and he will tell you just very quickly how long that will hold up in court. If the land doesn't have a title, you're screwed. But my point isn't about land. My point is about all of it. My point is to look at and protect yourself when it comes to all things financial. It's so hard to sit here and look at these videos and these total number of videos and see I got scammed. It's also very hard for me to sit here and say, well, you know what? Everybody gets scammed. Everybody, and look at the numbers in the U.S. $5.8 billion. Okay? $5.8 billion. That's a lot. That's an awful lot. I don't care if you're rich, 5.8 billion bucks is a lot. All right? And that's just what was reported in the US. So don't think that you can blame the Philippines or the Filipinos for scamming people. That's unfair because it may be true that Filipinos have scammed people. And it may be true that Filipinos have scammed people. But it's just as true that Americans have been scammed. I mean, if you were to take a guy and ask him, you know what? After your divorce, how do you feel about it? Do you think you were treated fairly or that you got scammed? Well, it's probably a matter of opinion. He may very well have deserved it, but that's, again, beside the point. There's multiple layers of getting scammed. We only hear about what makes it to these YouTube channels. I don't behoove anybody for posting videos and showing that people got scammed. I think it's good. I think it's good that it sets an example for what not to do for other people. But what we need to do is we need to educate people that it's not just a Filipino thing. It is not just in the Philippines you're going to get scammed. I can go and search YouTube's for getting scammed in Thailand. There's just as many. I can look at I got scammed in the U.S. and the problem with that is so many just trying to weed out the YouTubes on I got scammed girlfriend, I got scammed wife, and what's clickbait and what's not. It's just hard to deal with. My point here is simple. I feel horrible that these guys got scammed. I feel horrible that it happened. You know, I just don't know how else to say that. But what I really want to get across and what this is really about you're not any more likely to get scammed in the Philippines than you are in the U.S. Number one. Number two, you may have a little bit more legal recourse in the U.S. if you can catch them. That's true. But why not avoid it? Why not make sure you're safe with what you do? All right? Don't be throwing money out the window. Okay? Investing large amounts of money into any situation is foolish. Absolutely foolish without legal advice. And you know what? Lawyers here are pretty darn cheap. And compared to what I pay lawyers in the U.S., it's real cheap. Protect yourself. You're not any more likely to get scammed here than anywhere else. If you are foolish enough to build a house on untitled land that you don't own, maybe you deserve what happens. No, that's not true. I shouldn't say that. I apologize. That is wrong. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Protect yourself. Get legal advice. For God's sakes. Hey, look, I'd like to hear your feedback on what you think. I'd like to know how you feel about it. And you know what? If you've been scammed, I'd like to know about it. I'd like to talk to you about it. I'm interested in what happened and how. In the meantime, if you found this video interesting, hey, hit that subscribe button, and that thumbs up really means a lot to us. We thank you very much. We hope you're having a great day, and we hope to see you again. Bye.